What's up, 1851 world? Welcome to the weekly Sizzle. This week, a lot of good things to talk about. I'm going to bring you three main points. One, the benefits of an emerging brand. We had a great story that you can find wherever you're looking on the site about whether you should purchase an emerging brand versus a startup or versus an established brand. It's a constant debate, and it's going to be up to you as a franchise prospect to decide which one is going to have the best fit for you. One of the benefits of an emerging brand is they're in this growth phase. That means they are very heavily invested into the future of their brand. They have enough capital that's coming in from their existing locations to spend to hopefully target you and bring you onto their system, and they are very, very focused on increasing unit level economics. So in the example, Muya was the one that was talked about in the story. As an emerging brand, people are energized around a Muya because they're trying to be disruptive in the better burger category, and they're spending the money to do so. And corporately, they're putting more bandwidth into the local units, trying to increase unit level economics, meaning they're trying to help you find ways to make more money. The emerging franchisor category is also interesting from a territory perspective in that a lot of cases, the market that you're looking to expand to is actually still open versus an established brand where it is probably likely that you're going to be pushed into a smaller market, and a startup brand where there's no surrounding brand awareness around you. So the emerging brands that are doing it the right way and growing in concentric circles, they're bubbling out from their main markets. Now you get to play off of the brand awareness that exists at the existing locations, which should drive better volume to your store, or your restaurant, or your service. So the emerging category is an interesting category. I personally like that category because, especially if you can catch that wave as it's on the upstream, it will help make your exit strategy, your eventual exit strategy, even stronger. Whether you own 1 unit or 10 units, whenever you decide to exit, you've now caught the wave when it was moving up. Great example of a brand that a lot of people were trying to catch was Five Guys. All of a sudden, they got this great momentum in the early 2000s. And that momentum caused a lot of people to jump on that bandwagon, and them as emerging brand at that point, the value of those stores has increased significantly. So you as a franchise prospect, you have startups, you have emerging brands, you have established, there are benefits in each. This week we covered the emerging brand. I am currently on my way to Washington, D.C. I filmed this yesterday, I'm in D.C. talking about politics and franchising. Here's the reality. There's a lot of garbage out there that politicians are throwing at the franchise industry, whether that's NLRB, questioning labor relations, whether it's minimum wage, whether it's regulations that are specific to the states. There's a lot of BS that's built on franchising, when franchising is such a powerful impact to our economy as a whole, $1 trillion plus impact on our American soil. So what is the issue with politics and franchising? Why am I intrigued by the conversations that I'm having in Washington, D.C. today, Friday? It's this. Politicians don't know franchising. I was talking to one of my sources, which I will keep anonymous, who was talking about general politicians, and he said that he was talking with one that had a small business, and he asked them if they had franchising knowledge, and they said, not really. And he said, you're a small business owner. And he goes, right, but I don't understand all the intricate details of what franchising is. So if the politicians that are making the decisions to make changes in franchising don't have a general understanding of what franchising is, that can ultimately affect you, the franchisor, you, the franchisee, you, the prospective franchisee, and you, the supplier, because they are uneducated on franchising generally and are creating ideas without really understanding what they're creating ideas around. So if you want to say that McDonald's is a joint employer with their franchisees, cool, but do you really have the knowledge to do that? Or is that just you trying to get votes, or is it you trying to make some noise? That's my issue with politicians, is do it for the right reasons. And if you want to put regulations in franchising, which I'm cool with regulations, do it from an educated heart. Because if you don't have the education, if I ask you what an FDD is and you look at me like I'm some kind of ghost, well then you're not probably justified to be creating rules or regulations around franchising. Thus, it is our responsibility, 1851 included, to educate the politicians on what franchising is. Let's get back to the basics. Let's create that fundamental foundation and then allow them to make their opinions, versus spending all our effort combating and arguing and fighting all the things that they come up with. Let's try to take a step back, be a little bit more relaxed, and try to work on educating the politicians that represent our counties, our states, so that when they make decisions on franchising on the local level, the state level, or the national level, they're at least educated about it. And lastly, my column this week, which ran yesterday, is all about the satisfaction that comes with closing a deal. And the unfortunate part is that executives don't have that celebration long after that point. And I related it back to business in a lot of ways. That say you're in media relations and you pitch the media and you secure that big placement, cool, but you're only as good as your last placement, and that's challenging because you have to find the energy to get excited for that next one constantly, over and over and over again. And that really applies to everything in life. You hit a mark with weight loss and you're like, awesome, I hit it, but you're only as good as whatever that next measure you want to hit. So there's this constant feeling of disappointment that will be on us as human beings for our entire life, and it's trying to take the most optimistic approach to that pessimistic attitude. But it's everything in life. We're always trying to get 1 inch better. We're always trying to improve. We're always trying to do something different, or we're trying to change. And when you cross-apply that back to sales, it gets complex because you're trying to get jazzed up over and over and over again. I was talking with one of my colleagues this week about the light at the end of the tunnel in business, and I said, I look at my mother, who is a career woman, and she's towards the tail end of her career, but I look at her now. She goes to work, she works hard, she gets accomplishments, she comes home, she still does her email, she still works hard, and that ultimately affects the psyche. Because, you know, at the end of a sale, it's hard to get jazzed up again. It's hard to then get going again. And if we can try to find ways to incentivize and promote and excite and build culture around what does it mean to actually have that sale, whether it's franchise sales or it's getting a new customer into your store, then maybe emotionally you can be better equipped to deal with what happens after that sale or that deal or that hit is complete. Because the reality is there is no light at the end of the tunnel in any form of business. It's just a matter of getting to that next step or getting into something else that makes you feel positive. So culture and praise ultimately probably have the most powerful effect on the nature of the sales business that you're in. So hopefully you read the column. I'm going to have more feedback on my take on politicians and franchising in the coming weeks. Be sure to check out the columns. And obviously you, as the prospective franchisee, when you're looking at brands, maybe emerging is the right category. Make sure you read that story. It's a good story about why emerging brand makes sense. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you next week.